When a trigger hits, an unexpected rejection, a harsh insult, a sudden failure, your grip on the situation shatters in a fraction of a second. You don't lose control slowly, you lose it instantly. Before logic can even enter the room, you default to a harsh reply, a defensive tone, or an impulsive decision. Modern culture pushes a very different narrative. We are constantly told to express everything, to immediately voice our feelings, and to follow wherever our emotions lead. But obeying every sudden impulse is dangerous. One unchecked reaction can erase years of hard-earned respect or completely ruin an opportunity before you even realize what you've done. If you cannot regulate your emotions, you do not control your mind. And without command over your own mind, your entire life trajectory becomes unstable. Imagine spending your entire day mentally replaying a conversation, actively defending yourself against a criticism from someone who has already moved on. That is emotional slavery. These reactions often masquerade as strength. Anger feels powerful in the moment, but it clouds your judgment. Fear feels protective, yet it actively limits your growth. The Stoics understood how to break this cycle. They recognized that emotions are merely biological signals. They are pieces of information to be processed, not authoritative commands you are forced to obey. Treating every feeling as an absolute directive surrenders your peace to external events and the careless words of other people. 1 second after a trigger, your body physically hijacks you. Your heart rate spikes, muscles tighten, and your voice changes. This is ancient biology at work. Your nervous system misinterprets an everyday social disagreement as a lethal physical attack. Most of the time, there is no actual danger. The only thing feeling attacked is your ego, reacting blindly to what it perceives as a challenge to its identity. Here is the radical intervention the Stoics proposed. Your ego is not your master. You are. When you recognize that immediate surge as biology rather than reality, you separate your core identity from the momentary feeling. That separation creates the exact space you need to regain your power. There is a tiny, highly stretchable window of time between feeling an emotion and actually taking action. We call this the pause. The philosopher Seneca argued that the greatest remedy for anger is delay. Intense feelings lose their blinding grip when given just 3 seconds to breathe. This requires a clear distinction. We are talking about emotional control, understanding and delaying your response. We are not talking about emotional suppression, which merely hides and denies the feeling. You can build this discipline with a simple linguistic trick. Instead of telling yourself, "I am angry," silently state, "I notice anger." That small shift creates immediate psychological distance. By stepping into the role of the observer, you strip the emotion of its urgency. You permanently transfer the power of choice back to yourself. It is easy to practice the pause when the stakes are low, but what happens when the pain is profound? When you experience genuine betrayal or watch years of your hard work collapse? People often assume stoic detachment means becoming cold and unfeeling. True detachment is experiencing the pain fully, but refusing to let it dictate your behavior. Think of holding sand. Gripping it tightly out of panic makes it slip faster. Holding it gently keeps it secure. Command is balance. Marcus Aurelius realized that your interpretation of an event determines how deep the wound goes. You always retain the choice not to feel harmed. Enduring heavy emotions without letting them rewrite your character is the highest test of resilience. It proves that real control is an act of deep care, not apathy. The physical surge of an emotion might fade quickly, but the consequences of an impulsive reaction do not. They leave behind damaged relationships and invisible, lingering damage. Every outburst acts as a tax, and the most expensive, unrecoverable thing it steals from you is time. Hours spent replaying arguments, losing sleep, and drowning in guilt. People often excuse this by saying, "That's just my personality." But personality in this context is merely a set of retrainable behavior patterns. The Stoics viewed this through the lens of mortality. Your life is strictly finite. It is far too short to sacrifice massive portions of it to imagined scenarios and reactive fear. Mastering your emotional responses is a necessary defensive strategy to protect the limited time you have left alive. In modern business and leadership, this translates to an immediate edge.
The person who stays composed and analyzes the situation while everyone else panics automatically gains the strategic advantage. Strength is the ability to wait, observe, and calculate your next move. This quiet restraint carries far more influence than any loud voice in the room. This level of non-reactivity does not happen by accident. It is a muscle that must be trained, forged one delayed response at a time until calm becomes your absolute default. You will still feel anger. You will still experience sadness because you are human. The difference is that you are no longer required to obey them. When you secure the space between feeling and action, you realize something profound. The outside world didn't get any calmer. You simply became unshakable. And that is the only real power there is.